On the 17th of January 2020, the Ministry of Law and Justice in India declared the UAE as a reciprocating territory for the purposes of enforcing civil decrees and UAE court judgments. In this episode of the MIO Explainer Series, we highlight the enforcement of UAE court judgments in the Republic of India. The UAE has now been recognized as a reciprocating territory by the Indian government, which means that any judgment passed in the UAE can be implemented in India without the raising of a defense or re-examination of the issues tried in the UAE. This is a highly progressive step in the administration of justice across the two countries and the recognition of accountability, reliability and fairness of the UAE system in enforcing foreign judgments. This can help in reducing fraud and improve the recovery rate with respect to cross-border claims. Why is the enforcement of UAE judgments in India so important? The lack of any clear direction on foreign judgments can create a fraud gap, where fraudsters can target jurisdictions without enforcement mechanisms in place for foreign judgments. For example, such individuals may enter into transactions with local businesses and engage in various types of misrepresented business deals. Once the fraud is complete and the money is extracted through dubious means, the fraudster can then retreat to their home country, relying on the absence of an enforcement mechanism therein for any court proceedings brought in the jurisdiction where the fraud was conducted. When the victims attempt to recover the funds, the legal expenses, length of time, and the lack of clarity on how courts in the two jurisdictions can cooperate to administer justice can doom the recovery process before it even begins. The declaration by the Indian government with respect to the UAE naming the country as a reciprocating territory is a highly progressive step in the administration of justice between the two countries. It means that the Indian government has now officially declared that under its Civil Procedure Code, judgments rendered in the UAE are now enforceable in India, due to the fact that the UAE also enforces Indian court judgments within its borders. In the example given above, any fraudulent Indian company who now seeks to retreat to India after completing illegal activities or breaching agreements in the UAE will now be unable to fully escape the misdeeds in India. Any court action beginning in the UAE now officially be completed in India, with the district courts under the instructions to enforce UAE judgments in full, without hearing a defense against such judgments in the Indian courts. If you need help with recovering funds in the Republic of India or the UAE, contact MIO Law Firm today.